You guys can talk while I'm looking for another good question.
The big thing I have right now is why Butch Jones hasn't made his own move. I mean, if you switched out quarterbacks to get a spark for your offense, let's face it, it may not be the guy's fault, but we said that play selection is something you can count into question. I don't understand why they haven't said, okay, Scott, good guy and everything, but we're going to put somebody else to call plays. Anything you need to right now to cause a spark, and that's an open place that I see as something you would need to do or try to do, at least make something happen and not do the same thing and expect different results. Because that's right now you're doing the definition of crazy.
We asked that last week. Should he make a change with play caller?
And to take over himself.
There's only three things I think he said that you can really do: change quarterback, change play caller,
and change the system. And
change the system.
That's the one you can't change in the middle of the season. So you've changed quarterbacks.
Do the one thing you got left in your tricks.
All right, a lot of people agreeing with what we said. It's not the fact that they're 3-4; it's the way that they're losing, and I agree with that. Let's see. Some people saying that it is an overreaction. Again, I think what causes it to be a little bit of an overreaction record-wise is the fact that you've not scored a touchdown in 3 weeks. So that cancels out the over, and it's just a reaction.
Over a calendar month at this point, actually.
Well, but I also look at it this way: like, there's no really side of the ball or position that you go, wow, those guys are good. Like, I mean, I used to watch football back in the day growing up, and you saw Greg Lloyd and Kevin Green, and maybe the Steelers were good, and maybe they weren't that year. But you saw two really good guys play and get sacks and hit quarterbacks, intimidate people. What position on this team do you go? Yeah, the other coaching staff's watching that going, boys, we got a struggle right there. That's going to be a tough position to win. We don't have anything to hang our hat on that we say we're better than you in that.
Trevor Daniel, sometimes.
One thing I would say,
the punt game, baby.
The one thing I would say is just to compensate for some of the inequities on offense. I would like to see more motion. We're having problems with some of our receivers getting off the bump and run and the jam coverage. Let's get some motion. DBs can't lock on to motion, and we still have the same routes to run. Might give a little bit of throwing lane to the quarterback and get those completions down the field. A little more motion involved in our offense.
Two backs, motion the guy out, see if the linebacker comes down and covers him, or see if the safety comes down and covers him. Kind of helps your team understand what coverage they're running.
Is it zone or is it man? And also, if it's man, if a linebacker comes down and covers your running back, there's
my first read.
Yeah.
Seemed to work pretty well last year with Hurt and the other guy we had who turned out to be pretty good this year.
Here's somebody, turn your show off. You guys just keep talking about winning out against duds. Actually, we all said they would lose out it's more likely they'll lose out than win out, is what we said, if you listen. Now, here's another one that's going. Does this prove a lot of people are on John Curry now? He's not saying anything. We got to get rid of him and Beverly Davenport.
This is the one thing I don't understand. You can be looking for another coach and having conversations with even out firing your coach right now.
Yep.
I mean, you can go to the guy's agent and go, this is what we're thinking. Is your guy interested? When would he become interested? At what point during the season could we announce it? I mean, you're figuring all this stuff. You don't necessarily have to go fire your guy and then go, we got a coaching search. Heck, if they're not, put it this way, if they don't have their short list and they don't have some conversations going, I'd be very surprised.
And the thing is, it doesn't even have to be Curry doing the talking.
Exactly.
You've got a million intermediaries for this university.
Yes. And even Dave Hart said it back when he was here. He said, I don't care who you are. He said, you always have your list. He said, I don't care if you come off a national championship season. You always have your list of who your guys are just in case.
And the thing with John Curry, remember, he was out at Kansas State. He had an old coach in Bill Snyder, almost 80 now, or maybe he is 80. You think he didn't have a list prepared with an 80-year-old coach out there?
Yeah.
I guarantee he came here with a list. So they're looking. They're not, because they're not coming out and reacting the way some folks do, which is if you win, they're jumping up and down. When they lose, you're pouting and screaming. You don't want that in an athletic director. People say, I want them to act like me. No, you don't.
You want Curry throwing tomatoes at Butch Jones as he gets off the bus and slinging them at him.
You want a thinking man. That's like people. It's like people when they vote say, I don't know if he's smart or not, but I'd like to have a beer with that guy. I'm going to vote for him for president. I look at that and I think, hell no, I don't want anybody president that would have a beer with me. I want them to look at me and say, I'm sorry, I got a North Korea thing to handle. You're a freak. See ya. So to me, I don't want people who act like me. I don't want it for my fan coverage. I mean, for the teams that I follow, I don't want homers. I don't want haters. I want guys who will tell me, well, it looked good this week. Oh, it looked like crap this week. Just be honest. And I think if you got an AD who acts like a normal, rational person, that's a good thing. And for him to come out and say anything right now, he's got two options. Fire him now.
Right.
Okay. Or come out and say, we get vote of confidence, which you'll then have to walk back
Which
next
everybody
Saturday.
always says. If you come out and have to say vote of confidence, it means you're firing the guy. So, I mean, that's the problem, too.
All right. Sterling, I'm not asking you this question. Daniel, you can take it if you want to, but you played for the man, so I'm not going to force it on you. But the three of us, I'll start. I don't call for somebody's head. That's not my job. John Curry's going to make his decision. If it were me, I went into this season thinking you've had 2 top 25 years in a row. You've recruited well. If you went 7-5 this year or 8-4, I knew last year this was going to be a step back with a new quarterback. I felt you'd have a better shot in 2018, get through this, and then next year's make or break. I'm no longer there. I've lost confidence. What I've seen this year, I no longer think next year is any kind of a step forward. I don't have that. If anything, you're probably going to have to go out and make a bunch of coaching changes again, which just throws everything back into a question mark. So if it were me, I would make the move.
I would have made the decision to make the move. I don't know about when I would announce it, but I would have already made the decision. A couple of things. I see the same mistakes keep happening. Players that are not getting on the field, that when they do get on the field, you're like, that guy should have been on the field for a while. Not formatting your offense and defense to who you have and what you have. I think that's a problem. So I think I'm not seeing the improvement by the coaching staff. Also, who you hire and what you hire. It hasn't you haven't improved very much. So you haven't shown me you're good at getting the right guys in the right positions. Overall, I'm just not seeing what it's going to take to be a long-lasting program.
What would you do, David?
I would make a change at the next loss. I think, when we came into this thing, the cupboard was bare. Yes, he has built up and done some really good things here, but you have to continue to see that improvement. You have to, last year, should have made it to Atlanta. Does that mean that you this year have to go win it? No. You may have a slight down year, a step back, but you're still competing. And when I look at and I see, okay, the 2 schools in the SEC that he has a winning record against are Kentucky and South Carolina, and now he's dropped the last 2 against South Carolina's new coach, there's no improvement there. And I just don't think it's going to happen. So the next loss.
So the 3 of us would make a change.
Yeah.
Yep.
And my thing is that, again, you love the guy, but also you got to realize too, it's Tennessee. You got to love your university. And I think at this point, I probably would have made the change today, to more right after that, to not give him that chance of, to win out. Then you split the fan base, I think, even more. But I love the quote out, Nick Saban had after their game. Tension brings attention. And with all the tension around the program right now, you're seeing a lot more of these deficiencies that, we've all mentioned for years that are really pointing out. Your backup guys should, know more of the system. They shouldn't be having these issues. You shouldn't have things happen like, you call a flea flicker and the receivers don't go out on the pass route.
You don't have communication.
And I think like we all do, and of course the guys that know Coach personally is, you love the guy, and you see him grasping for answers at the end of Alabama. At some point, when you care for somebody, hey man, you know what? This isn't for you right now. Let's come back to this later.
There are a lot of people at UT and that's one thing people don't grasp. You hear people talk about what a jerk he is. He's not a jerk. That's people say he's terrible to the media. Again, if you watch Nick say, those people that want Chip Kelly, you're going to see who can be a jerk to the media and the fans, okay? Because when they're a jerk to the media, it's also being a jerk to the fans because you're not getting anything. Butch Jones isn't that. Most of the people I've talked to over there who've been there for years, they loved the guy when he got here. He worked his tail off. I've been told he works harder than any coach since Johnny Majors. In terms of 24/7, on the job, no hobbies, he's second only to Majors. And that's a 30-year period. That's pretty good statement. They believe he's brought in better players. He's cleaned up a mess. He got the grades right. You never see his guys in jail and in the newspapers. And the view is he deserves a thank you, not a screw you. But at the same time, the guys I've talked to who loved him at first have said it's time to make a change. And that's folks that I've known for years inside the program. And, I don't think anybody hates the guy over there. But I will say this. You're going to have, when this move is made, you're going to have all the people who were disgruntled come out and say their piece. And it's going to sound like a train wreck over there. And that's another thing with tension brings attention. When you're winning, all these things we're talking about, attention to that. It's hidden. I mean, we mentioned things last year, and people would call in or they would send text and say that, you acted like they lost. Well, I remember that specifically after the Virginia Tech game. When we blew them out, you acted like we lost. Well, we're pointing out the issues that did come back to bite them later.
Yep.
But there are people who just want to pile on, and I think sometimes when you lose, it's so much easier to start nitpicking things that you didn't notice when they're winning.
Yeah, well, I mean, we've said some of the exact same criticism last year when they were in their heyday,
Yes.
beating people.
And
why aren't
we
you
said
using-
problem. It hadn't been that losing changed us that these are problems. We just knew these are always going to be problems, and if they're not right here, they're going to catch up to you and bite you.
And losing just makes people pay more attention to it.
Yep.
God, we were begging for weeks to get Kamara the ball more. Then you look at him right now in the NFL, he's tearing it up.
Sterling, your thoughts on where is this team and this coaching staff right now in terms of, I don't want you to reveal state secrets. You're over there with those guys. They trust you. But in terms of being near them, they got to be feeling this. How are you not feeling it?
They're feeling it. I mean, and that's real. They are definitely feeling it. But, when I talk to them, I talk about, well, how are you going to respond? You come to Tennessee for this pressure. And Saban made a great statement. Tension brings attention. You come to Tennessee for that pressure. Now how are you going to respond? You have the opportunity to actually do something special about this tension, about this attention, and about this pressure. And now either you're going to be the guy that shoots out of the cannon and takes it to your opponent, or you can be the guy that just and the winning loss record to show these next 5 games. So I'm looking for a change, looking for that optimistic attitude to continue to progress. I'm looking for everybody on the team to get better. But we have to do something different as we get better and then put it on the field.
All right, very good. Sterling Hinton, David Ligon, Will Overstreet, Daniel Hood, thank you all for being here. I appreciate you staying late to do the overtime segment. Appreciate all you for watching. For all my sheep.
Bad.
Yeah, I'm going to guess.
They do have the black sheep.
I'm a sheepdog.
I'm going to guess Sundays at about 12 o'clock over there at the UT complex, they're not sitting there going, wow, what a great sports source today.
Now we know what to do this
They
week.
don't think we're sheep. All right. Thank you, and we'll see you next Sunday at 11 on WATE 6.